All right, we're going to wrap up reviewing the skills of solving systems using substitution. There's a nice little set of directions up there for you to follow. We're going to run through some. We will have to, at times, do some literal equation solving. We'll have to solve for, we're going to use literal equation solving too. Solve for X or solve for Y or solve for an A, solve for a B. This is a skill that's going to come up in this practice as well. I'm going to actually hit number 2 before I go to number 1, because in number 2 I want you to notice that it's set up that we have actually something that would be easy to graph. It's a y equals mx plus b form. But I'm not going to graph this. I'm going to actually take this quantity 2x minus 2 because y is equal to it, and I'm going to plug it into the second equation where the y sits. So as I go and set this up, it's going to be 2x, 2 times x plus 3. Now instead of y, I'm going to put what y is, this quantity, 2x minus 2. And I'm going to finish out the equation, equals 10. And the reason I'm doing that, substituting this quantity in for y, is because then I have an equation to solve that has only x's in it. I'm going to do the things that we've practiced. Distribute, combine like terms, and then I'm going to start the process of undoing. And actually, I should have told you, work ahead in solving this equation we just wrote, because I didn't talk you through it here. Last step would be divide by 8. Divide by 8. X is going to be equal to 2. Now, just like when we use elimination, once we find one of the variables, we got to go back and plug it into one of the equations to find the other. And it actually just so happens that number 2, this y equals, it's 2. It's in the form of 2 times x minus 2. So let's throw in the 2 we had, 2 times the x we found, minus 2. And that's going to be 4 minus 2. It's going to wind up being 2 as well. So the solution to number 2, imagine that, is 2, 2. Oops. So you could pause this or rewatch it at a later time if you needed me to slow down here. That's how you're going to work that. I'm going to go and do number 1. My intention is to do number 1, to do number 3, and then have you work 4, 5, and 6 before you watch the solutions for those. In number 1, I don't have an equation that's an x equals or a y equals, but when I look at this top equation, I can see that I could pretty easily turn it into an x equals, I'm just rewriting it, by subtracting y from both sides and writing x equals 10 minus y. The reason I want to do that is because I want a value to substitute into an equation. If x is 10 minus y, I can put it in place of x in the other equation. So I'm going to write 5 times, instead of x, I'm going to replace it with 10 minus y. And then what happens is I have an equation to solve only in terms of y. 5 times 10 times the quantity, 10 minus y equals 2. Oh, I made my arrow for my distribution go a little bit too far. I'm going to distribute. 5 times 10 gives me 50. 5 times negative y, or minus 5 times y, is going to give me 5y. And then I'm done distributing. The parentheses end here. I have to take away a y still and set it equal to 2 again. I'm going to combine like terms. When I did the first problem, I didn't talk through it too much. 50 minus, I have minus 5y's minus another 1y, so 50 minus 6y equals 2. I'm going to subtract, start the process of undoing. I'm going to subtract 50. Watch that negative that sits in front of the 6y. I'm going to have to give myself some more room. Watch the negative that sits in front of the 6y. So what do I got here? I combine like terms, 50 minus, good. So I'm left with negative 6y equals 2 minus 50, which is going to be a negative 48. I'm going to divide by negative 6 on both sides and find out that y is 8, because 6 goes into 48 8 times. I'm going to go use my y. X plus 8 equals 10. X plus 8 equals 10. So if I subtract 8, x is going to be 2. My solution is 2, comma, 8. Sweet. So there's your number 1. It's kind of all over the place. You guys should maybe use paper for the bottom ones. I'm going to grab some. Number 3. So I'm going to use substitution. You know what? Actually, I'm going to give you a suggestion. Don't substitute number 3, because I think you've gotten pretty good at elimination, and you can recognize that if you multiplied this whole equation by negative 1, you'd have opposites to undo, or to eliminate. 2a minus 3b. So I'm using elimination on this one. Makes more sense, really. Elimination. -1, that's a times sign, times -1. -1 times 2a is -2a. Sweet, got what I want. -1 times -b is going to give me a positive b. And then my 5 times -1 is -5. Now with elimination method, I just go and now collect and add down. Add my equations together. This is going to give me a 0. -3b plus b is going to give me -2b. And that equals 7 minus 5, which is 2. If I divide both sides by -2, I'm going to get b equals 1. Now I'm going to go use it. 2a minus, I don't know why I chose the bottom one, because I just didn't have to multiply the b by anything. So I'm using the original equation, 2a minus b equals 5. So 2a equals, if I add 1, 2a equals 6. If I divide by 2, a is equal to 3. So remember, when you have variables that aren't x and y, they're ordered pairs, put them in alphabetical order. The a comes first, then the b. Or just label it real good. I'll produce the next video for the rest of the problems. Good luck.